Welcome to another wonderful episode of your video notes. Your joke for today is, why was the equal sign so humble? Because she knew she wasn't greater than or less than anyone else. That's a good one, I thought. Okay, so let's jump into today. Today, there isn't any really new skill. We're just putting it all together. These are going to be problems that have multiple steps. That's why it's called multi-step equations. So we are on lesson 3.6, multi-step equations. And that'll be the next page in our notebook. Okay, so I printed the paper off like normal, and we're just going to follow along with that. Okay, so at the top, okay, sorry, I was having a bit of technical issues, but basically that top part is review. Remember that when we're doing inverse operations, we do PEMDAS backwards, and just like we wrote on our last notes, if you're checking your answer, you don't have a variable, you want to do PEMDAS normally from top to bottom, order of operations normally. But if we're working backwards, doing inverse operations, solving for a variable, then we go the opposite way, or SAD MEP, like someone said last week in one of our classes. See, SAD MEP. Okay, so let's look at what we have in these multi-step problems. There's no new steps here. I just want to remind you that we first want to simplify if possible. So you're going to be applying the distributive property, combining like terms, those kind of things. Then once it's totally simplified, you would circle the variable and draw your wall, apply inverse operations to isolate the variable, and go in the reverse order of PEMDAS. As always, make sure you check your answer at the end. This is going to save you a lot of small errors and a lot of wrong answers. So make sure you don't skip that. Check your answer. So let's take a look. So first of all, can we simplify? I see two terms that have an x in it, meaning they're like terms, so I need to combine those first. So 8x minus 6x, or 8x plus negative 6x, you can look at it either way, would give us 2x minus 25 equals negative 35. Now I can't simplify this any further because they're not like terms. So I can circle my variable, draw my wall, and proceed like normal. First, start off with our addition subtraction because we are doing PEMDAS backwards. So addition subtraction first. We have a minus 25. The opposite of that, the inverse, would be plus 25 to both sides. That gives us 2x equals negative 10. Now we move on to our multiplication division. Here's 2 multiplied by x, so the inverse is dividing by 2. And we're left with x equals negative 5. Now we need to check our answer. And again, when we're checking our answers, we're doing PEMDAS like normal, starting with parentheses and going down. So I'm going to copy this exact original equation, 8, but rather than x, I'm going to put in a negative 5 because I think x equals negative 5. We're checking that. Minus 6, rather than an x, I'm going to put in a negative 5. And now I'm going to solve. Well, parentheses first. I can't simplify what's inside the parentheses anymore. It's just a number. There's no exponents. There is some multiplication, though. 8 multiplied by negative 5 would give me negative 40. I also have multiplication here. Negative 6 multiplied by negative 5, that would give me positive 30. Now I have my addition subtraction. I have addition and subtraction. When you have to make that choice, they're on the same level. That's why I write it this way. So when you have to choose between addition and subtraction, just start from the left and go to the right. So negative 40 plus 30 would be negative 10. Don't forget my negative there. Negative 10 minus 25 would be negative 35, which is what we were supposed to get. Yep, that's what we wanted to get. So we are correct. X equals negative 5 is our answer. Okay, let's look at another one. As I said, there's no new steps here. We're just doing all the steps together. So it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more work. So here I notice I have a number in front of the parentheses, meaning I could use the distributive property to simplify. So I have -8. 2 multiplied by 1 would be 2. 2 multiplied by -5x would be -10x or -10x plus 4. Oh, now I see I also have like terms. So I need to do that to simplify it as well. 2 plus 4, that's going to be 6 minus 10x. Now the equation is simplified. And I can circle my variable, draw my wall. So as I said before, remember we're doing inverse operations. So we need to do SAD, MEP, or PEMDAS backwards. So right here, this is 6 minus 10x. Well, I'm not going to add 10 because it's not just minus 10, it's minus 10x. That's multiplication there. But this 6 I could get rid of, right? It's alone, it's a constant. And so that's a positive 6, so I could subtract 6 to get rid of it. That's still working on our addition subtraction level. -8 minus 6 is going to give us -14, and we're left with -10 multiplied by x. This is multiplication, so we want to divide to get rid of it. And here, feel free to do long division or grab your calculator. Remember, you are allowed to use a calculator on this unit. So that comes out to 1.4. Let's check it. And we'll do PEMDAS like normal. So I'm going to copy down the original equation. Oh, rather than an x, I'm going to plug in 1.4. I'm going to put that in another set of parentheses to show we're multiplying. Okay, so first I need to do parentheses. So within those parentheses, I first need to do my multiplication and then my subtraction here. So -5 multiplied by 1.4, you can write that out or use your calculator, like I said. That's going to come out to -7 or 1 minus 7. Now we're still working in the parentheses. 1 minus 7, that's going to be -6. Now we're moving on to our multiplication. 2 multiplied by -6, it's going to be -12. And lastly, our addition. -12 plus 4 is -8. Oh, and that's what we wanted to get. That was the goal. So we are correct. X is 1.4. Good work. Okay, I want you to go ahead and pause the video to try these two problems on your own. Okay, those two problems, if you need some extra help, here is my work that you can look at and pause the video. And then here's my work for problem B. Again, you can pause the video and compare your work to mine. Okay, let's look at the back. So the back, again, nothing new. It's just we're looking at bigger problems, more complex, putting everything we've learned this unit together. So again, these same steps of simplify. If possible, circle the variable and draw the wall. Apply inverse operations in the reverse order of PEMDAS and check your answer. So this time we're focusing on a little bit more complex equations, ones with rational numbers, which would be decimals and fractions. Let's take a look. So this one, I notice I have two terms with n, so I'm going to have to combine those. And I also have two constants, so I'll have to combine those as well. So 3.8n minus 1.4n would leave me with 2.4n. -13 plus -5 would leave me with -18. And this all equals 0. Now it's simplified, so I can circle my variable and draw my wall. First, we take care of that addition and subtraction, so we're going to add 18 to both sides. We get 2.4n equals 18. This is 2.4 multiplied by n, so I'm going to divide by 2.4. And that leaves me with n equals 7.5. Remember, this is where we are doing PEMDAS backwards. Okay, let's check that answer. Make sure you give yourself some room because we have a long equation. So 3.8 rather than n, I'm going to plug in 7.5 minus 13 minus 1.4 multiplied by, rather than n, I'm going to plug in 7.5 minus 5 equals 0. Whew. Okay. Looks like a lot, but let's just break it down, doing PEMDAS in the normal order. So first, parentheses. Those are just one number, so we can't simplify that any further. No exponents. We do have multiplication, though. So 3.8 multiplied by 7.5, that's going to come out to 28.5. Again, you can use your calculator. Minus 13. Negative 1.4 multiplied by 7.5 is going to come out to negative 10.5 minus 5 equals 0. Okay, now we're on to all subtraction, so we're going to start from left, go over to the right. So 28.5 minus 13 is 15.5. Then bring down everything else. 15.5 minus 10.5 is 5. And 5 minus 5 is 0, which is what we wanted to get. So yep, we were correct. N is 7.5. Okay, let's look at one with a fraction. So the fractions, they just have more work. There's more steps to show to do that work with the fractions. Don't be overwhelmed just because you see fractions. Hang in there with it. You can get it. So first off, I see that we have the distributive property. We can distribute at negative 3/4. So we now have 16 equals negative 3/4 x up. Negative 3/4 multiplied by 24, put the 24 over 1. Think about negative 3 times 24 is going to be negative 72. And then 4 times 1 is 4, and negative 72 divided by 4 would be negative 18. So this negative 3/4 times 24 would be minus 18, and then plus 5x. I now see that I have some like terms I can combine. And there's one that's a fraction, one that's not. So let's write this out. Negative 3/4 x plus 5x. Remember to put the whole number over 1. And since we're adding, not multiplying, adding, so we need common denominators. So I'm going to multiply this one by 4. So they both have a denominator of 4. And then we have negative 3/4 x plus 20 over 4x. And now we can just add those numerators. Negative 3 plus 20 would give us 17. And then that's just over 4. And bring down the x. So I wrote that there. Let's bring down the rest of our equation. We just have that minus 18. Okay, now it's simplified, so I can circle my variable and draw my wall. Start off with that addition subtraction. That we have subtraction for 18, so we're going to add 18 to get rid of it. And we have 17/4 x over here, and 16 plus 18 would give us 34. Then we would need to divide by 17/4, because this is 17/4 multiplied by x, and the opposite is dividing. So now we have to remember to divide 34. Let me see if I can zoom in for you here. So 34 divided by 17 over 4. Put the whole number over 1, and then we do keep, change, flip. So keep the first fraction, change it to multiplication, and flip the second one. And now we can multiply straight across. So 34 multiplied by 4 will come out to 136. 1 times 17 is 17. And then if you do 136 divided by 17, it actually comes out to a nice number of 8. Woo! Okay, we did it. Now we need to check that answer. So I'm going to move back up here. Okay, so my equation was 16 equals negative 3/4. X is 8. Plus 24 plus 5x. Start with parentheses first. 8 plus 24. That's 32. Oh, I put an x when I should have put an 8, because that's what x equals. Now we need to do our multiplication. So let's do this multiplication first. That's negative 3/4 multiplied by 32. Put whole numbers over 1. Since we're multiplying, we just go straight across. Negative 3 multiplied by 32 is negative 96. 4 times 1 is 4. And negative 6 divided by 4 is negative 24. Again, if that overwhelms you, grab a calculator. Put that into your calculator. Let's bring down the rest of the equation. It was 16 equals, and then plus 5 multiplied by 8. So we still have some multiplication to do. 5 multiplied by 8 is 40. And then negative 24 plus 40 is going to be 16, which is what we wanted. Awesome. Whoop. Went off the page. Here we go. Is 16, which is what we wanted. That means x equals 8, like we said. Whew, okay, so a lot of steps there. Nothing new, though, nothing you can't do. We're just taking this lesson to put it all together and do some of these more challenging problems. At this time, go ahead and try this one. Make sure you show your work and pause the video. Okay, if you need some guidance on how to do that one, here's my work. Feel free to pause the video and check it out. And last problem, give it a try. Fractions, which I know can be a doozy sometimes, but you can do it. Okay, if you want to take a look at my work for that one, here it is. So here was the beginning where I just, let me see if I can clear it up. There we go. Where I distributed the 3/5 to both the terms. And here's my work for that, of how I got my more simplified equation. And then I combine like terms. And then once I've combined like terms, then I can go about my normal steps. So I added 9, divided by 6 1/5, and did my keep, change, flip. And then I went back and checked my answer as well. Okay, if you want some more help or this is confusing, please send me an email or show up to office hours, 3:30 to 4 o'clock, any day but Wednesday. I care about all of you, and I look forward to seeing you this week. Bye.